All right, part 2 of Module 3, Lesson 3. We're going to be doing car payments, house payments, and then we'll talk about credit cards. So the car payment formula and the house payment, we're going to use the same formula. Definitions: an installment loan, a loan that you pay off with weekly or monthly payments or payments in some other time period. So you have a car payment. Most of the time it's a monthly payment. This is the formula that we're going to use. So on pretty much all of these, N is going to be 12 because we're doing monthly payments. So suppose you borrowed $10,000 for 4 years at 8% towards the purchase of a car. Find the monthly payments and the total interest for the loan. So the interest in these is going to be interest that you pay. You have borrowed money from a financial institute and they are charging you interest to get that money for that car. So all of the interest in the car payments and in the house payments, this is interest that you are paying to your bank. So we're going to find our monthly payments and how much interest that we've paid on that loan. So our payment equals, we have P, which is our principal. That is the money that we borrow. So $10,000 times R over N. So 8%, R equals 0.08, and then N equals 12. And then all divided by 1 minus 1 plus R over N, so 0.08 divided by 12. And then our exponent is negative 12 times our time, which in this case is 4 years. So negative 12 times 4. All right, putting it into our calculator. We're going to create a fraction, alpha, y equals, enter. We have $10,000 times 0.08 divided by 12. And then we have our parentheses, 1 minus, we have another parentheses, 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12. Close one parentheses and create an exponent box. Now, the negative button that you want is down here right next to the enter button. You don't want to put the subtraction sign. So negative 12 times 4. And then close our parentheses. And we get a payment amount of $244.13. $244.13. So this is our monthly payment. This is what we're paying our bank or credit union or whatever it is. This is our car payment every month. We need to figure out how much total interest the bank is going to make off of us. So part A is our payment. Part B is our interest. Interest is a little bit different. Before we took our future value amount and we subtracted out our deposits, this is going to be kind of backwards. We're going to take our total payments and subtract out our loan amount. So in this case, it'll be P. So our total payments is our car payment, $244.13. We pay that every month. There are 12 months in a year, and we do that for 4 years. And then we're going to subtract all of that by our loan amount of $10,000. So let's see what we end up paying on that car. We pay $244.13 every month, 12 months in a year, and we do that for 4 years. So we end up paying $11,718.24. And we subtract the 10,000. So the interest paid on this car is $1,718 So this is what the bank made off of us. All right, number 2. Suppose you decide to buy a car that costs $29,635. This includes all of your taxes and the license fees. You have saved $9,000 for a down payment, and you can get a 5-year car loan at 6.62%. Find the monthly payment and total interest for the loan. So let's see what our payment is. So it says that the car cost $29,000, but we put $9,000 down. So we are not getting the loan for the full $29,000. The principal, the amount that we're getting the loan for, is actually $20,635 because we have $9,000 that we're putting down on that car. So we give the $9,000 to that car, wherever we bought the car from, or we put it down at the bank, and we end up getting the loan for $20,635. So let's see what our payment will be. So principal is $20,635. The interest rate is 6.62. So 0.0662 divided by 12 for our monthly payments. 1 minus 1 plus R over N, so 0.0662 divided by 12 to the negative 12 times 5 for 5 years. Okay, I'm going to go up and highlight our formula. And we're going to change our pieces. So 20,635 times 0.0662 divided by 12. Then we've got 1 minus 1 plus 0.0662 divided by 12. Those are parentheses. Negative 12 times 5 for 5 years. Our car payment is $404.91. Okay. And how much interest did we pay? So I equals our total payments minus our loan amount. So our total payments is $404.91. We pay that every month, so 12 times a year for 5 years. All of that minus our loan amount of $20,635. Don't use the first value of $29,000. That's just the value of the car. We got the loan for $20,635. So 404.91 times 12 times 5. We end up paying $24,294.60. So how much did we pay in interest? $3,659.60. All right. The next is the home ownership or house payments, mortgages. So a mortgage is a long-term installment loan. We have a down payment, which is a portion of the sale price of the home that the buyer initially pays to the seller. And then you have points. So they calculate all of your closing costs as points. So basically, the way that this works in this particular lesson is 1 point is 1%, 2 points is 2%, and so on and so forth. So whenever you buy a house, most of the time you have to put a down payment down. So depending on that financial institute, you will have to put some money down to get that loan on the house. Most of the time it's 20%. It can be less. I know in the state of Texas that they have a program for like first time home buyers, and you don't have to put 20,000 down, but your interest rate is a lot higher and your house payment is going to be a lot higher. So the down payment most of the time is like 20%. We'll look at different percentages in these questions. The closing costs, whenever you buy a house, there's a lot of different things that need to be done. The title company will do research, make sure your house does not have any lien holders. There's legal fees that need to be paid, taxes. So it could be up to like $5,000 in closing costs whenever you buy a house. The way that we're going to calculate it here is by this point system. So it'll tell us it's either like 3 points, 4 points, and it's however much percent of your loan amount. So not the value of the house, but your loan amount. So we're going to use that same payment formula for our house payment. So the first exercise breaks everything down piece by piece. So we're going to find our required down payment, then we'll find our house payment, our closing cost, and all the way down to interest. So find the required down payment. So it says the price of a home is $220,000. The bank requires a 20% down payment and 3 points at the time of closing. The cost of the home is financed with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 7%. So part A is to find the required down payment. So our down payment is 20%. That 20% comes from the value of the house. So we're going to take 20% of that 220,000. So we take 220,000 and multiply it by 0.2 because that's 20%. So 220,000 times 0.2 is 44,000. So that means in order to get this loan, we have to put up $44,000 plus the closing costs. So how much are we actually getting the loan for? If our house costs $220,000, we're not getting our loan for the full $220,000. We are taking our price of our house and we're subtracting out our down payment. So we're getting the loan, our principal is, so 220,000 minus the 44,000. We are getting our loan for $176,000. So this is what we're getting the loan for, not the full $220,000. How much must be paid for the 3 points at closing? So remember up here, the way that it works is that 1 point is 1%, 2 points, 2%, so on and so forth. So 3 points would be 3% of our loan amount. So 3% of the loan amount is 0.03 times $176,000. .03 times 176, 123, $5,280. And that is pretty accurate for closing costs. All right, find the monthly payment, excluding escrow, taxes, and insurance. So another thing that financial institutes will do is that they will escrow your property taxes and the insurance. So anytime you get a loan for a house, that company that you're getting the loan from, they want to make sure that you have insurance, and they want to make sure that you're paying your property taxes. So sometimes, in order to make sure that you're doing that, they will include your property taxes and your insurance as part of your monthly payment of your house. This particular question, we're not doing that. And some places, they don't do that. They make you take care of your property taxes and your insurance. They'll just make sure that you send them like a copy of your house insurance, and they'll work with your insurance agent. So we're only finding the monthly payment of our loan. So we're not worrying about taxes or insurance. So our payment amount, we're going to use that same formula. We're getting the loan for $176,000. The interest rate, 7%, and that is a fixed rate for 30 years. Make sure that you are getting a fixed rate. Sometimes certain institutes will give you a really low interest rate, but then you'll have like a huge balloon payment after so many years, and it could be like $70,000 payment. So make sure you're getting a fixed interest rate on your home, on your loan for your home. These are monthly payments. Okay, we have 1 minus 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12 to the negative 12 times 30. So 30-year is something that a lot of institutes like to go with, but you can get a shorter time period. It doesn't have to be 30 years. You could get one for 20 years. And some places even do like 22, which sounds kind of weird, but yeah. So let's figure out what our house payment is. I'm going to have to create a new one. Alpha y equals enter 176,000 times 0.07 divided by 12, and then all divided by 1 minus 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12. Close our parentheses, make our exponent box, and we have negative 12 times 30. So our house payment is $1,170.93. They want us to round to the nearest dollar, so $1,171 is our house payment. $1,171. Okay, so that's what we're paying on our house every month. So it says find the total cost of interest over 30 years. So we need to first calculate our total payments, and then we can find our interest. So if we pay $1,171 every month, so 12 months in a year, and we do that for 30 years, we end up paying $421,560 over a 30-year time period. But we only got the loan for $176,000. So we end up paying $245,000 in interest on this house. So your total payments, let me write this all out, 1171 times 12 times 30 gives us $421,560. Our interest, we take that $421 $560 and subtract our loan amount of $176,000 gives us $245,560. Lot of money in interest. All right, the next question. We are going to compare two different options. It says the price of a small cabin is $100,000. The bank requires a 5% down payment. The buyer is offered two mortgage options, a 20-year fixed rate at 8% or a 30-year fixed rate at 8%. Calculate the amount of interest paid for each option and how much does the buyer save with the 20-year option. Now, a lot of times if you take that shorter time period of the 20 years, the interest rate will be lower. In this particular question, it is not. But in real life scenarios, the shorter time period will have a better interest rate. So we are first going to calculate our payments for the 20-year option and the 30-year option. Then we will calculate our interest and how much we end up saving in the long run. So it says the cabin is $100,000, but we have a 5% down payment. So our down payment is 0.05 times 100,000. So I'll put it in the calculator. 100,000 times 0.05, $5,000. So that means that we are putting $5,000 down on this house. So that means that we are getting the loan for $95,000. We're not getting the loan for the full $100,000. Okay, 0.08 over 12 divided by 1 minus 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12 to the negative 12 times 20. So these formulas are going to be the same. The only thing that's different is the 20-year option and the 30-year option. So I'm copying everything over. 1 minus 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12 to the negative 12 times 30. All right, let's calculate our payments. I'm going to go up and highlight this and just switch everything around. So we're getting the loan for $95,000. The interest rate is 8%, so 0.08. 12 stays the same. And then we have negative 12 times 20 for our 20-year option. Okay, and then I'm going to do our 30-year option. All we have to change is our 30. All right, so we have two different payments. We have $794.62 and then $697.07. So these payments are not that different. They're only about $100 off. So if you were to do the 20-year route, you would only pay about $100 more a month, which doesn't sound that bad. So let's put our payments. We're going to round to the nearest dollar. So $7.95 for the 20-year option and then $6.97 for the 30-year option. Okay? So these are our monthly payments. We need to figure out the total amount of money that we've paid and then how much interest that we end up paying. So our total payments, we take $7.95 times 12 months in a year for 20 years. The next one is $697 times 12, but this is for 30 years. So that one, and then $697 times 12 times 30. Wow. So you can see that the 30-year option, we have paid a whole lot more towards that home. So our total payments for the 20-year option was $190,800. And then the total payments for the 30-year option was $250,920. So how much do we end up paying in interest? Our interest equals that total payment amount, $190,800, minus our loan amount of $95,000. And then over here we take the total payment of $250,920 minus $95,000, so $190,800 minus $95,000. And then we have $250,920 minus $95,000. So our interest for the 20-year option was $95,800. Our interest on the 30-year option was $155,920. So how much did we save? We're going to take those amounts, $155,920, subtract $95,800, and we end up saving, so $155,920 minus $95,800. We end up saving $60,000 going with the 20-year option. So they're going to ask you to round it to the nearest $1,000. So it would be $60,000.